What's going on, people? Welcome back to JABULANI XI and welcome to another episode of the Ideal Prospect. I'm joined once again by football journalist Anthony. How you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Before we get into the player that we're featuring in this episode today, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe to our channel, and comment as we discuss. So yeah, let's get right into it, man. The player that we are featuring in today's episode is Brighton's 24-year-old midfield maestro, Yves Bissouma. Now, just to get into a little bit of a background of Bissouma, born in Isia, Ivory Coast, but was actually raised in Mali. Started off his career at Majestic SC Academy. And he also played there alongside Adama Traore. He's not in this picture, but you can see Bissouma right there on the left-hand side. So obviously playing majority of his football in Mali. He's even though he was born to Ivorian parents, he's Mali's pretty much given him everything. He's given him that foundation to progress in his career. Yeah. And then fast forward to that, in 2016, he signed his first professional contract with Lille. In the French league, big team, top team, for him to get recognized from Mali to go to Lille. I feel like in the French league, they tend to keep their eyes on the French-speaking African countries. You see a lot of players like from Mali, Guinea, or Senegal playing in those leagues. So they do tend to keep their eyes on that, and I guess it's a nice breakaway for them into Europe. So they can have just people that speak the same language around them and keep them comfortable. But I wanted to discuss what type of player you initially thought he was, because I think the first time I set my eyes on Bissouma properly, I couldn't tell whether he was attacking. I couldn't tell whether he was a defensive midfielder. I just felt like he was just an all-round player. What were your initial impressions of him?
I can remember when he first came. There were a lot of people saying, where does this guy fit into this Brighton team? What is his actual position? Because when he came in, he to be honest with you, he looked lost. He didn't look like he did. He didn't look like he belonged. I myself was thinking, is he a box-to-box midfielder, or is he a deep line playmaker? What does he do? What does he bring to this Brighton team? It's so pleasing to see that finally now we're really seeing the best of Bissouma and what he brings to the Brighton team.
I wanted to just focus and go back to his the 2 years that he spent at Lille, playing for the reserves at first, and then obviously broke into the first team in 2016. He actually made 55 appearances for the club under former coach Marcelo Bielsa. Marcelo Bielsa obviously was there for a short period of time, but Bissouma did play under his guidance. And one of the interesting things I wanted to point out in terms of his career at Lille under Bielsa was that Bielsa initially wanted to switch his position to right back. But fortunately for him, he remained as a midfielder and helped the club beat relegation. I wanted to just ask you, can you imagine a player like Bissouma at right back? Because, for a highly rated manager like Bielsa to say, or to even consider that, he must have seen something in him. You could kind of link it to the situation that's happening at Arsenal with Xhaka playing at left back. It could be a thing of where if a team was desperate, they could possibly put Bissouma in those type of positions. Could you see Bissouma being a decent right back?
Because even despite how difficult his early years must have been, he was an incredibly quick player. He was agile. He was got the legs to play across the whole park. You know what I mean? He had the stamina, and for a coach like Bielsa, if he saw that you could play a role in another position, and he believed that you could do it, you could do it. You know what I mean? Even now, as we're seeing in Leeds, he's transformed Calvin Phillips into a brilliant defensive deep line midfielder, or Stuart Dallas. He was initially a right back. he's playing centre midfield and he's flourishing there. You know what I mean? So Bielsa always has that eye for an alternative position for players. And seeing Bissouma, you know, his how can I say it? Spider legs and pace and agility. You know what I mean? He saw something in him to play him right back. And, you know, for me, I believe they could have fulfilled that role. Even now, if Brighton want him to do a job there, he possibly could, because he's got those characteristics in his game.
Let's talk about players in general. You know, if you put yourself in the shoes of a manager, you know, when you're looking to sign a player or maybe bring a player up in the academy, are you looking at a player that can play in different, you know, different roles and different positions, or does it not necessarily matter?
Well, nowadays football has changed. Football has changed massively in terms of, you know, managers want players to play different roles. And, you know, as you said before, we're seeing it at Leeds. We're seeing it at a lot of clubs now, even Manchester City. Players playing in different roles than they used to. You know, and managers want that flexibility, because you know, the tactical side of the games have evolved. You know, especially when scouts are looking at a player, they want to see if they can you know, perform in different roles rather than the role they're usually in. And, you know, even for me myself, when I was growing up, you know, wanted to get into football. You know, I always said, I want to be a striker. I wanted to be a striker. But then I was put on the wing. I was put at right back. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a thing where, you know, football is evolving now, where managers and scouts, and they want to see players play different roles, because, you know, in the way the tactics are evolving these days, you know, you can have that flexibility within match situations to change formation, to change system, to change tactics. So, you know, it's what managers want to see in players, definitely.
And I think it's important to have that attitude as well, because, sorry, I'm a gooner, so I always just bring up Arsenal in it, but you know, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, for example, he obviously currently on loan at West Brom. He originally wants to play in the centre midfield, but you know, managers, you know, not just Arteta, but even Emery before, and you know, they like to put him out as a right wing back. You know, and they feel like he plays best on that position. And I think it's just good for a player to have that kind of attitude and that will to just be there for the team. Do you know what I mean? If the manager wants me to play in a certain position, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to complain. Do you know what I mean? Even though I prefer to play this way, I'm going to do this for the sake of the team. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's fast forward to him obviously joining Brighton in 2018. Signed a 5-year contract. You know, stamping his future at Brighton and in the Premier League. He made his debut coming off the bench against Watford. They actually lost that game 2-0. But I think what impressed people the most and made him stand out was his first start. And that was at Anfield against Liverpool. And after the game, he was obviously praised for his defensive performance in that game. And I think that's probably what made people start to open their eyes a little bit. But I want to just come off that point and fast forward to this season, where he's simply been Brighton's star man in this campaign, and ranked second in the Premier League for the most tackles won, and third for the most tackles. Now that is impressive. You know, I do believe, you know, seeing stats like that, Brighton could have probably been worse off if they didn't have a player like that in their midfield. What do you think has been the key to his success this season?
First of all, it's the belief that Graham Potter has instilled in him. You know, when Brighton make their lineup, Bissouma is the first name on the team sheet. He's one of the first names on the team sheet, and you know, it's a testament to him in the fact that, you know, he's grown in his role considerably. As we said before, apart from that first game at Anfield, you know, Bissouma looked like he didn't belong in the Premier League. He looked like he didn't belong in this Brighton team. You know, there were times where people thought, okay, you know, why did Brighton sign this guy? But, you know, his place in right now, the maturity shown in his game right now, it shows that you know, even if a player has a bad first year in the Premier League, you know, you can't write them off.
Yeah.
All they need is an arm around the shoulder. All they need is confidence, and he's been given that. And what, you know, the reason why I always look forward to watching Brighton is because of Bissouma. You know, the way you know, he takes control of games. You know, give him the ball, he'll do something, make something happen. You know, he's got confidence. He'll spray a ball. He'll play an unorthodox pass. You know, the way he he stands his ground, shielding his defenders. You know what I mean? He's never shy to put in a dirty tackle. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And you know, players with that kind of bravery, they're a huge diamond in any team, especially in a team that, you know, have been fighting relegation or fighting for safety. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, you know, Bissouma has shown that he's a reliable performer. You know, and he's also got flashes of brilliance in his game. You know, he can do a little skill, do a little jink here and there. You know what I mean? So he's got a variety. And now I could picture him, you know, okay, he can play a deep line playmaker. He can play a box-to-box player. He could even be a destructive defensive midfielder. You know what I mean? That's the maturity and the confidence that he's got in his game right now. And, you know, that's why we're hearing rumours that City, Liverpool, United, Arsenal, they're all in for him.
They're all in for him. and we will actually touch on that a little bit more towards the end of the show, but I wanted to go back to his international career. And obviously, you know, like we said at the start, you know, Bissouma was born in Ivory Coast to Ivorian parents, but chose to represent Mali at international level because obviously he grew up there, and that country's obviously given them foundation to go on to do what he's done today. One interesting fact about him, you know, playing for Mali was in 2016 he played at the African Nations Championship. Now the African Nations Championship is very different to the AFCON because this is basically an Africa Cup of Nations where players who play at club level in Africa play. So, you know, you won't see the likes of Salah and Mane there. These are players that play at club level in the continent, and they're having their own international tournament. And what was interesting is that in the semi-final in 2016, he actually scored a 76th minute winner against Ivory Coast. So he's actually gone and played the country where he's actually from and scored against them, which I found quite interesting.
Yeah,
but
very interesting.
You know, yeah. But I had a thought, and I was thinking, you know, Ivory Coast weren't that impressive in 2019 Africa Cup of Nations, and it looked like they were just missing something. We all know, you know, the type of players they have. We you know, Zaha, Pepe, Kessie. You know, now they're bringing in the likes of Diallo, you know, from United. How impressive do you think it would have been for Bissouma to be in that team and be surrounded by those type of players? Like, what impact do you think that could have had on the team?
To be honest, if he'd have played for Ivory Coast, he would have looked out of place. You know, because you know Ivory Coast players, you know, even every single one of them, even skinny players like what's his name, Gervinho, with Arsenal. You know, they've got a power about them. When they step on the pitch, they look like monsters. You know what I mean? Even Yaya Toure, you can see in you know what I mean. And Bissouma would not have looked out of place. You know, right now he's a player. You know, he's got the build, he's got the stature to play in a team like Ivory Coast, because you know, throughout the years we've seen of Ivory Coast, they're a powerful team. You know, the way they beat sides is because of their power and their pace, and Bissouma has that in abundance. And he as I said, he would have looked out of place in that team. He would have done a massive difference to them.
But Bissouma playing for Mali isn't necessarily the worst thing. You know, he's following in the footsteps of some top talent. You know, we got 𝗙𝗥𝗬𝗥𝗬. You know, you've players like Seydou Keita who played for Mali. So it's not necessarily, you know, the worst team to play for. But I definitely think, you know, if him being in that midfield for Ivory Coast could have caused real problems for other teams at the AFCON in 2019.
Yeah, definitely. Big time.
But yeah. Just to end the show, I think this one's going to take a bit of a while to get through. But like I said, before we went on air, I said I had a surprise for you for the Fans Forum, because the Fans Forum is actually you. And it was a tweet that you put out a while ago. And it was a tweet that you put out a while ago, and we're going to break it down. Seen a lot of Bissouma to Arsenal rumors. I'm sorry, but I'm not for it. he's good enough to be playing top level European football. The Emirates is not a stable camp right now. If that's his only option, he might as well stay and continue developing at Brighton. Now, I wanted to touch on that. Do you still stand by your point?
Wow. I feel I do.
Yeah.
In terms of the reason why I stay at that point is because, you know, I think Arsenal are trying to make something of Thomas Partey, and I don't think could I see them two playing together? Probably, but you know, the reason why I said that is because, you know, Arsenal aren't you know, a stable camp right now. They're not, you know, things are uncertain. And I don't feel that Bissouma needs that in his development. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel he deserves to be playing Europa League football, Champions League football, in the next 2 seasons or so.
Okay.
He's got that in his locker. Don't get me wrong. I'm not pushing Arsenal to the side or for his options completely, but I just feel that, you know, he needs to go to a club where, you know, they're gonna have belief in his ability. They're gonna have belief that he can take that next level, and that's what he's showing at Brighton right now. You know, if worse comes to worse, if teams can't offer him that, as I said, he might as well stay at Brighton, continue his development there, because I feel that Graham Potter is gonna take Brighton to another level next season. So you know, and he'll be a vital part of that. But, you know, at the same time, I would love to see him move to a bigger club.
Yeah. Well, obviously, there's some Arsenal fans in the comments that disagree with you on that one. Shout out Qualms on that one. But you know, I've seen a lot of rumors, of course. You know, for example, like Arsenal obviously in for him, United. I've even heard Real Madrid at one point, you know, this season. Do you think he gets into any of these top sides? And at the same time, do you think he will be able to suit their style of play? Because, you know, any player can go to a top team. For example, we've seen Hazard go to Real Madrid, and he's not necessarily had the best time there. You know, yes, he's been injured, but he's really had it tough over there. And we can't always just say, oh, because this player is a great player, he can get into any top team. Is there a certain team that you think he would suit best in terms of their playing style?
Well, I'm gonna sound awfully biased here. I want him at United. You know what I mean? If we can't get the likes of Declan Rice or stuff like that, get Bissouma. I want him in. You know what I mean? We need a destructive defensive midfielder, and not only that is, you know, what I'm so impressed by Bissouma is every time he's got the ball, he wants to make something happen. And, you know, you don't really see that in a defensive midfielder or player that's tasked with, you know, shielding the back four. You know what I mean? If he's got the ball, if he sees the space in front of him, he'll go and take it. He'll drive. You know, I'm seeing he's got impressive numbers in his progressive carries. You know, he's got 3.30 progressive carries in you know, in per 90 minutes, and that's, you know, for a player of his stature and his ability, you know he can perform that role. And, you know, in terms of, you know, how the big teams play against small teams, you need players that can progress the ball, not just through their passing, but the way they beat players. And Bissouma can do that. You know, we've seen him do it on numerous occasions for Brighton. And as I said, I want him at United. I really do. You know, he can take that next level. You know what I mean? We need a player that can breach defenses because they can take a man. You know, they can get past players. They can make things happen. And, you know, could he do it if he goes to Liverpool? Yes. Could he do it if he goes to even City? Apparently Guardiola's interested in him. Probably he could. You know, you don't see Rodri beating players, but Bissouma could add that dimension to City's game. You know what I mean? So, you know, this may seem like high praise, but he deserves it. Bissouma is one of the best midfielders in the Premier League right now. I've got to say that.
That's fair. That's fair, bro. And to be fair, I can't even disagree with you there. But the way I'm looking at it right now is that he's got so many offers on the table for him, pretty much. You know, what do you reckon his thought process has to be right now? Because he's got to be thinking, okay, if I go to this team, am I going to be at the top level? Cool. Am I going to be a starter? Cool. You know, how difficult do you think it would be for Brighton to hold on to him this summer?
It's going to be massively tough. I'd have to give a round of applause to Brighton if they manage to keep him this summer, because he is a player held in such high regard right now. And for me, his thought process it is vitally key. You know, he's 24. You know, next 3 years he'll be in his prime. So this year, next year, you know, it's vitally important for him to get into a team that can aid his progression, aid his development. You know, and for a player who's 24, you don't really want to be playing on the bench. And as good as Bissouma is, you don't really want to be playing on the bench. So you know, he's got to think the next club. Am I going to be playing games? Am I going to be given the belief as I'm given now at Brighton? Am I going to be given the confidence to go and make mistakes? You know, to go and probably try and beat 3 men and you lose the ball, but then my team's backing me. My players are okay. You did that wrong. We know you can do better. You know, am I going to be given that belief? And you know, that's something he's got to be thinking about this summer. You know, and as I said, if teams aren't going to give him that opportunity, if they're not going to provide him with that platform, he might as well stay at Brighton, because as I said, Graham Potter, I believe he's going to do wonders for Brighton the next if he manages to stay. So why not be the face of that movement? Why not?
That's fair. You know, Kwame says he says Arsenal probably the best for his development right now. He will get will he get regular starts elsewhere? You know, like at the likes of City, Madrid, or even United. Do you reckon he starts straight away at those teams?
At Arsenal, and you know, as I said before, at Arsenal he probably could start. You know, him and Partey could be a very, very intriguing midfield pairing.
With Guendouzi coming back as well.
Yeah, and even because on against Chelsea the other day, Elneny looked really good. You know what I mean? And Bissouma's of a similar build, similar characteristics, and you know, him and Partey could be that midfield pairing could take Arsenal to another level. But I don't want to see it. I want him at Old Trafford.
All right, cool, bro. We'll end on that note. Thank you guys for watching the latest episode of The Ideal Prospect. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and also comment as well. If there's a specific player you want us to break down and look into, comment down below, and also tweet us at JABULANI XI. And use the hashtag The Ideal Prospect and just say the player, and we'll see if we can get around to it. But yeah, follow us on all social media platforms where we post news and updates on African footballers. And yeah, we'll see you next week for another episode. Take care and God bless.